Good evening and a very warm welcome back to the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship powered by Grid Finder. It's round 3 of the championship coming from the UK's fastest racetrack. It's Thruxton, and it's our third different car track combination of the season. This time it is the Type R trophy that will be heading out on track, and Trafford King will be looking to make it 4 in a row after a very dominant display last time out. My name is Chris Stevens. Alongside me for tonight, it's Chris Buxton.
Hello, everybody, and very much looking forward to this. Big fan of Thruxton. I make no apologies for that. It's not just my local circuit, but yeah, there's plenty of right foot going on this circuit. No matter what you're taking around here, it is very thrilling action. And these Type Rs, they're almost born for a track like this. You've got door-to-door action going on in these highly tuned tin-top cars. Again, quite different to what we've seen. We're certainly very different to what we enjoyed at Croft last time out. And wow, did our drivers put on an amazing show. Very much looking forward to more of the same and Thruxton.
Absolutely. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might remember that we were originally going to be racing at Cadwell Park this weekend. The reason for the switch is because the popularity of the championship means that we've had to change to a circuit that allows for larger grids. And Cadwell Park, unfortunately, limited 24-car fields. We have a full-packed 30-car grid actually for this one, so much we've had to dip into the reserve list, so that's the reason for the switch. Here's how they're going to be lining up for the first race of the night. It's Trafford King, unsurprisingly perhaps, on pole position, the top rookie in the real life Type R trophy from this year, alongside the other driver from this championship, and that's Adam Parsonage, but Colin Cuniff, another one of the 750 Motor Club drivers, joining him on the front row of the grid. Then Finney, Tim Marsh and Steve Bentley on the second row of the grid, Dan Jude and Harvey Pullinger on the third row of the grid. Then Adam Parsonage, who is in the real-life Civic Type R trophy alongside Paul Jarvis. Ben Goodwin and Dave Heisman complete the top 10. Alex Forster and Andrew Cooper on row 6. Then comes Steve Boother and Daniel Marshall, Pete Belsey and Jensen Swift completing row number 8. And slightly further down the grid as well, we have Peter Cornelius and Francis Twyman. And then Keith Whitby and Will Hartley in the top 20. Vaughan Jones, Adam Zeba, Jonathan Leeson, David Hudson, Alex Horan, Thomas Davies, Max Spooner, Andy Woodvine. And then on the back row of the grid, John Power, who could not make it in time for qualifying, but will be taking part in the 3 races, of course, race winner from Silverstone. And then Jamie Peters-Ennis, who was a last-minute addition to the grid, rounding out a capacity 30-car field for round 3 of the championship here from Thruxton, the Type R trophy, as we mentioned. And this is possibly the closest it gets to real-life racing, actually, because it's the EP3 generation car used in the AC mod, the same one that is raced in real life, a Honda K20 engine powering it as well, the same MRF tires that are used in real life as well. And we've even got 2 of the drivers from the championship taking part in this series as well. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
You literally couldn't get any closer to the track, except for the G-forces and possibly the repair bills. But yeah, we are going to enjoy some fantastic racing. I've thoroughly, every time I've been to Thruxton, I have loved it. It's such a fast circuit. That's not to say it's an easy circuit. Because it's a lot of right foot, you've got to rely on driver discipline, applying that pressure, forcing that mistake. But you have, of course, your 2 main braking zones, into Club, which is the final chicane, and into the Campbell Cobb and Seagrave complex as well. Because whilst braking into Campbell's not necessarily so excessive, because you haven't quite got all the horses galloping from Allard, which is turn 1, when you're breaking into Club, you have been on the gas for quite some time. So if you've made a mistake earlier in the lap, that mistake is exasperated so long. So the drivers are really going to have to be on their game to just, if nothing else, stay on the tarmac. Because if you make a mistake here, it is going to be very costly, which again, it's a statement I do say quite a few times in quite a few different places. The thing about Thruxton, though, whilst the barriers they're not necessarily looming on the, very close to the track, but because you don't have those braking zones, you carry a mistake a much, much longer distance. So they've got to be very, very, very well behaved. Whilst these Hondas can take a bit of door banging, that's not to say that that's the ideal way of coming through corners. They're a little bit more, shall we say, accommodating to that sort of thing than what we saw last time out. But even still, it's going to be lots and lots of great racing, and we'll really see who can just keep that pressure and handle that pressure as well. We always see, so far I've always seen Traffic King towards the top end. I think he's taken pole pretty much on every single occasion where pole time has been required. Of course, the reverse grids have always put him further down the field. But yeah, he's on such a momentum, isn't he? Taking all 3 wins at Croft. Can he carry that forward? You would expect him to do so, being that this is the machinery he's most familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? It was 3 out of 3 for him last time out at Croft in the Master 7s Championship, and of course took a win in the opening round of the season at Silverstone with the Toyota MR2s as well, with victories also going to John Power and Colin Cunniff. Actually, let's just run you through the championship order, actually, because it is the top 2 starting race number 1, who are the top 2 in the championship. Traffic King and Colin Cunniff separated by 10 points at the moment, with Adam Parsonage in 3rd and then John Power in 4th, 20 points back. And we also have the sub championship for 750 Motor Club members. That's looking very similar, with Traffic King, Colin Cunniff and Adam Parsonage in the top 3, but an awful lot closer, only 6 points separating them in those particular standings. Get racing here at Thruxton. The 750 Motor Club in real life hasn't actually raced at Thruxton in 7 years, but the track will be returning to the calendar for next year, so a little celebration tonight for that. So before we go to the grid and get the racing action underway, we'll take a quick break. Grid has formed up then. It is Traffic King in that light blue and black trimmed car, starting on pole position on the left-hand side. Of course, was the top novice from the real life Type R trophy in 2023. Alongside him in the red and black car, it will be Colin Cunniff. Top 2 in the championship, starting alongside each other. And then Finley Tidmarsh in the blue car, the darker blue car, and then the all red of Steve Bentley, and then the almost golf coloured cars on Dan Jude's car. In fact, that might actually be a nice golf livery
Big fan
on
of
that car. Yeah, it looks absolutely splendid. So we're waiting for the lights to come on. Traffic King talking about his livery. That is his real world livery, actually. So sure that a big effort to match that up with the real world livery. I'm sure a lot of pictures from Jonathan Elsey has been used to help with that. But we're about to get underway for the first race of the night, 15-minute encounter. The grid set by qualifying, and then we will have a top 10 reverse grid race after this, and then a further 50-minute race that will be set by the result of the race 2 order. So 45 minutes of total action still to come tonight, and it is Traffic King, who was victorious in all 3 races last time out, who starts on pole position and in his home machinery, if you like. We've got an onboard there on the right-hand side, a little bit further back down the order, but all 5 lights are on now. We're about to get underway for the first race of the night in round 3 of the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship, powered by Gridfinder, and it is a good start from the pole sitter and from Colin Cunniff on the front row of the grid as well. And King leads into Allard for the first time. We're having a look here at Steve Bentley in the all red, who's looking at the back of Tidmarsh on the opening lap for the first time into the complex section of Campbell and Carb. Few drivers locking up. Colin Cunniff in second place runs out a little bit wide. Is that going to give Tidmarsh a bit of impetus to try and get on the power a little bit earlier? You see he's trying the old up and under, get on the power nice and early out of Seagrave. This is where it starts to get very fast indeed, as they are about to flick through the left of Noble. And then we'll head towards the likes of Goodwood and Church Corner for the first time. And Colin Cunniff is really under pressure from Tidmarsh behind, as Jamie Peters-Ennis runs out a little bit wide there and onto the grass through Noble. That's going to cost him a few more places. Some lovely side-by-side action a little bit further down the order. One car's gone off on the grass. I think that's at Goodwood. But for the race leader, it's looking very nice indeed. 1.3 seconds clear of that battle for second place, as Cunniff has got Tidmarsh all over him and having to go defensive as they head towards Church for or into the club chicane for the first time. It is King that leads Cunniff and Tidmarsh, but not by much at all.
No, indeed. Traffic King, as you would expect, had a superb start. The Scrabble drivers I've heard, front-wheel drive cars, just perfectly timed when to get the horses galloping, and it was already 1.3 seconds to the good over Colin Cunniff and Fiddly Tidmarsh. Yeah, fair few door banging going on behind. No serious incidents that I've spotted so far. We did see Jamie Peters-Ennis, who, as we say, did start on the back of the field. He is a reserve for this season. There's that gorgeous Golf livery car, Dan Jude into his 6th position. Yeah, Jamie Peters-Ennis did make that mistake. He sort of did a little bit of lawn mowing on the outside line, coming through Noble, heading towards Goodwood, I believe it was. But it's surprisingly easy to do. Whilst, as you can quite easily see, the barriers are a long way away, so you don't necessarily have the pressure to stay on track. But the amount of momentum he lost was colossal. So that is why making those small mistakes can be very, very bad indeed. Adam Parsonage, 3rd place in the championship at the moment, is down his 7th as he is chasing that gorgeous Golf livery car of Dan Jude. So he's 0.4 of a second, but these being single spec cars, of course, gaining any kind of particular momentum is going to be difficult, as we see Andrew Cooper that is having an argument with that's Thomas Davies for 18th position. No, that's Impact. That's Sense. I think that's Davies. I think that is having a bit of a spin. That was Peters-Ennis that was involved in that one. It was indeed Thomas Davies in the orange car that is joining right in front of 3 that were going side by side on the braking zone of Club Corner. Oh, that's someone taking no alternative route. Oh dear, and that is trouble into the club chicane. Oh, I spoke too soon when I said there hadn't been too many incidents, and now it's all getting a little bit scrappy at the top, as that's Stephen Bentley that has gone to the inside grass, coming through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave.
Yeah, Steve Bentley there in the all-red car, having to take to the grass. A little bit of a moment there. It looked like he was side by side with Parsonage through the complex at Campbell and Cobb. So he's come off worse in that particular squabble, but it is to the benefit of Alex Forster, who's moved up into 7th place, although Steve Boover moving back into that position now. Looks like they're running quite close together. In fact, here they are. Alex Forster now chasing Steve Boover as they head through Church. So Steve Boover there in the blue, white and yellow, and then Alex Forster here in the grey and orange. And Forster's going to try and make a move on the inside of the club chicane as they come to complete the 3rd lap of the race. And Forster with a lovely move on the inside here to take 7th place. And Boover getting out a little bit wide there and probably taking a bit more of the curb at the last portion of that chicane than he probably ideally would have wanted, and in fact has lost out to Keith Whitby and all of that as well, and now down to 10th place. So definitely not an ideal run for Steve Boover on that particular set of corners. Traffic King just maintaining his advantage per the front of the field. 1.5, it's gone up to 1.7 now, and John Power setting the fastest lap of the race. Who's that's gone off and getting a bit argy-bargy down at the club?
Goodwin is Ben Goodwin that has gotten that all wrong on the braking zone coming into Campbell and took to the grass. Thankfully, no major impact with Pete Belsey as he was rejoining the track. Also, I want to point out John Power from the back row of the field. He's in 17th place with the fastest lap of the race. Absolutely storming performance from John Power. It's, literally nothing can keep him down, it would seem. But as is always the way when you've got these wonderful cars to see, a single spec series, we've got these great battles still formed. It seems a shame that there's only 9.5 minutes of the race. We're only 3 laps in. Again, such is the nature of this series. It's 3 15-minute races. We're already halfway through. And as I mentioned, John Power, he's already gotten past Spooner up into 16th.
Well, the question now is, can he make his way into the top 10 and try and benefit from the reverse grid race 2? John Power may only be 4th in the championship at the moment, but he has won at the opening round back at Silverstone. Of course, the former Formula Ford and rally driver who has taken to sim racing later on in life. This is Steve Boother trying to get back up the field, and Cornelius here trying to keep him at bay as well. He's just made the move on Boother by the looks of it, but this is a very tight pack of cars, all squabbling over 8th place here. It's Keith Whitby who is leading that train of cars in the red car, and then Cornelius in the blue behind him, and Steve Boother is about to come under big pressure here from Alex Zieber in another red car, trying to force his way through on the inside, and I think there might well have been just a little bit of a tap there at Goodwood, and now Boother's trying to find his way through on the inside of Cornelius as well into Church. It would be a very brave move indeed if he were to make that stick. My goodness me, that is bravery in the extreme, and once again the momentum turns to the car behind, which is Alex Zieber, and Steve Bentley trying to get involved in that as well. We could well go 3 wide into the club chicane here, and we are in fact going to go 3 wide into the club chicane, locking up there from Alex Zieber as he tries to back out of it at the last possible moment. Bit of door banging there between Steve Boother, but he's come off worse in all of that, and frankly I'm amazed that's the only position change that ended up happening in all of that.
That was, I was convinced one of them was going to introduce their car to that very solid bollard that is in the middle of club, but no harm, no foul in that particular respect. Oh no, Boother again taken to the grass. I must admit, I am very partial to that very Williams-esque Cannon livery, Mansell and Piquet way back in the day. That is a fantastic. I love the way these liveries have been so well recreated for this race, this championship. This has been fantastic work going on in the background. But look at this group now. So this is Peter Cornelius in 8th, right the way down to, well, Steve Boother's fallen a little bit out of this group. He's now under pressure from Ben Goodwin, we can see at the back of that particular shot, as Bentley and Zieber have now swapped around. That's where the camera is directly looking. 3 wide again. Has Steve Boother been actually had any track to himself? He's been side by side with someone for about 2.5 laps now.
Sensational stuff in the mid-pack here. This battle all going on for 12th, 13th and 14th at the moment. And now a nice aerial shot as well as they go through the club chicane once again. We've only got 6 minutes left on the clock now. How fast it goes, 3 15-minute races, and we're almost into the final third of the first race of the night. But Ben Goodwin here looks like he's found a bit of track to himself. Just give you an update further up the field. Finley Tidmarsh and Harvey Pullinger still squabbling away for the final spot on the podium at the moment. And here is a look at that because we've got Tidmarsh with Pullinger all over his mirrors. 2 very different lines being taken through Goodwood there, and initially allowed Pullinger to close up on Tidmarsh, the all-blue car, followed by Pullinger in the white and yellow behind him. Through Church Corner once again, one of the fastest corners you'll find on any racetrack in the UK, and a lovely bit of momentum here for Pullinger. This is going to give Tidmarsh something to think about as they head towards the club chicane. This is for the final spot on the podium. Look at that golf colour car of Dan Jude waiting in the wings to see if anything goes wrong, and Harvey Pullinger with a lovely move manages to get through into 3rd place ahead of Finley Tidmarsh, and Dan Jude has now arrived right on the scene looking to take advantage of Tidmarsh's poor momentum down the straight, weaving about it. It looked like that Dan Jude got into the back of Finley Tidmarsh.
I think he did a little bit. It unsettled the blue car of Tidmarsh a little, but essentially no harm, no foul. Dan Jude rightly got out of that to allow Finley's car to settle. But this squabbling pack still very, very intense as they are now bouncing their way through Allard once more. The on-sport on the right-hand side is Dan Jude, the battle we were previously watching. We've got this great side-by-side. So this is a battle for the last podium spot on the right-hand side, as we're seeing several people going too deep into the complex, too deep into Campbell. That will aggravate their line through Cobb and potentially compromise the race through Seagrave. But we now come back to the battle for 3rd position. Nearly impact between Tidmarsh and Pullinger. Is this going to give an opportunity to Dan Jude? No, he's slightly too far back on this occasion, but that's Pullinger that is in the tyre tracks, in the exhaust smoke of the Honda ahead of him. Oh, where are you going, Dan Jude? Using every pixel of space. 3 wide yet again. This shouldn't be a surprise, but it's incredible when they pull it off on the way down towards Club once more. Can Dan Jude get the pair of them? Oh, there we go on the brakes. Who's going to win out here? It's Dan Jude. Wow, he timed his attack to perfection. Utilised the slipstream, outbrake the pair of them, and that is now Dan Jude, fifth to third in one corner.
Dan Jude getting livery of the season award, potentially even move of the season award with an audacious double pass into the club chicane for the last spot on the podium. I'm sure that battle is not done yet with 3 minutes left to go on the clock. Here's a look further back. Ben Goodwin has got Keith Whitby just in front of him, but now he's got John Power alongside him. This is what we were talking about earlier. John Power in that silver car that's just past Ben Goodwin is about to make his way into the top 10 potentially and benefit massively from the reverse grid race, which is coming up next. That would really change the game for John Power, who couldn't take part in qualifying. He was arriving late to everything, so accepted he would start from the back of the grid, and it's been a brilliant drive from John Power to make his way up to 11th in that silver car, and he's now looking at the back of Keith Whitby for a spot in the top 10, which would give him pole position for the next race. He was looking up the inside there into Noble, maybe a bit of contact there because Keith Whitby's gone off and over and round. My goodness me!
Oh no, that is tragic for Keith Whitby. The car utterly destroyed. Still hasn't settled down. Finally gets itself going again. But, rather dramatically, that's given John Power 10th position. I'm not entirely certain there was contact there. But I'm just stunned at the incredible performance from John Power from the final row, 29th place, up into 10th. Possibly unlikely to get hold of Steve Bentley, but exactly as you say, Chris, may not actually want to, because that will give him pole position for the next race. As we continue to watch Andrew Cooper fend off the advances of Vaughan Jones for 13th place, and Dan Jude, we were talking about his amazing move. He's lost both of those positions again in the complex. Whether that was a mistake or whether that was just the same manoeuvre being pulled on Dan Jude that he pulled on his two arch rivals ahead of him, which is Pullinger and Titmarsh. Well, he's gotten one of them. The battle is going to carry on until the flag falls.
Dan Jude on the inside into Goodwood, able to just hang on to that 4th place spot, but Finley Tidmarsh is not through with the oh yes he is, because he's gone off on the run into Church Corner through Village, and that has eliminated him from this battle in the final minute from the last spot on the podium. But Dan Jude has still got an opportunity here to take Harvey Pullinger for the last spot on the podium with less than a minute to go. Surely Traffic King will be starting his final lap of the race in just a few moments' time. Here they go again. Dan Jude on the inside. Big lock up though as they go into the club chicane. And Dan Jude has made his way back up onto the podium. But I'm sure Harvey Pullinger is not done yet.
Absolutely not. That's been Dan Jude's hunting ground all race long so far. But Pullinger with this, the final lap being his last opportunity in this race. Again, obvious statement. But John Power is actually up into 8th place. He's suddenly shot past Cornelius and Bentley. So whether they've come together, and that's gifted John Power another few positions. We can't say. The camera just simply cannot look everywhere. It's physically impossible. There's that cannon livery. As Steve Boothby, he hit the apex, or the final apex of club, a little bit too hard and lost all his momentum. Dan Jude fending off the advances of Harvey Pullinger as they are now working their way through Noble. Now over to the left-hand side for the fast right-hander of Goodwood. Fast right-hander, there's plenty of them in this circuit. A little bit off the gas, quite flat out in these cars. But you are flirting with the grass, as we very much saw Finley Tidmarsh kind of push his luck a little bit too much and go onto the grass. But on the left-hand side is our race leader, Traffic King, coming to the flag.
For the 4th time in as many races, Traffic King exits the final corner and takes victory in race number 1 in round 3 of the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. The Type R Trophy Rookie Champion takes the victory, perhaps to no surprise. Colin Cunniff takes 2nd place, and Dan Jude in that beautiful golf-coloured car wins a brilliant battle for the last spot on the podium, beating out Harvey Pullinger by just a few tenths of a second in the end. Adam Parsonage comes home in 5th place, followed by Finley Tidmarsh. He ended up losing an extra spot on that last lap with that drama right at the end. Few positions still to be settled through the final couple of corners a bit further down the order. It's Alex Forster who finished in 7th. John Power from the back of the grid into 8th place. Brilliant stuff from him. Peter Cornelius and Stephen Bentley completes the top 10, and that will put him on pole position for the next race.
That it will, but as you say, Chris, still positions to be argued as William Hardy getting a few. Oh no, an incident further back. That's Marshall and Belsey, I think, that have come together on the final corner of the final lap. And William Hardy takes 18th from Marshall. Belsey then comes over the line. I beg your pardon, I think it was Spooner and Whitby that came together at the last. The last few cars just to come over the line now. Jensen Swift and somewhat distant Francis Twyman. Again, no disrespect to the driver, as this field is packed with intense talent. But what a race. That just sets the night up perfectly. It's exactly what I thought we'd see. So much action. But then the reverse grid is going to really spice things up even more.
Absolutely. And one person I'm really looking forward to seeing how they get on is John Power. I mean, having come up from 29th to 8th, and we saw he was fast. He briefly had the fastest lap of the race as well. So he's definitely got some raw pace inside that car. Now going to be starting 3rd on the grid for the next race. That's a really interesting situation there. We saw Trafford King was able to make his way through the order last time out at Croft. So let's see if he can do it again.
Absolutely, he's certainly able to, but he's got some very, very, very fast drivers ahead of him. Colin Cunniff coming in second, couldn't quite match the pace of Trafford King. Nothing against Colin on that one, but Trafford King has been fairly invincible for the last 4 rounds. The reverse grid race didn't quite go his way in Silverstone. Very different cars, of course. The Toyota MR2 was sort of felt a bit of a heavier car, slightly less responsive than these very highly tuned Type R's. The Toyotas were kind of closer to road spec than these are, so these clearly suiting Trafford King much more so. That being said, Trafford King still came home in 9th. From memory serves, he fell to very nearly last in that second race. That's been his worst result all season long. It's been podiums from there on out. But yeah, John Power put on an amazing performance, didn't he? And in fact, the only time he's finished outside of the podium was the first race in Silverstone and the last one at Croft.
Absolutely. And we can now hear from Trafford King, our race 1 winner. Trafford, you're making a habit of this.
Well, I think I'd have got a bit of stick if I didn't do that one at Civics, wouldn't I?
Absolutely. Gosh, novice champion in the real life series from this year. Was there any point in that race where you felt like you were under pressure? You didn't quite storm off into the distance like you did at Croft.
Yeah, there was a couple of times, and both as we were coming lapping back markers, I lost maybe a second and a half, couple of seconds each time. So I could see Colin. I knew he was going to be pushing me along all race anyway. But when I could see him just getting a little bit closer, I had to keep in it.
I mean, top 2 in the championship, finishing top 2 in that race. So you must be thinking quite a lot about Colin. But are you thinking about John Power as well? Don't know if you saw his progress, but he went from 29th to 8th, and of course has bagged himself a really good position for the reverse grid race.
Yeah, he was quick in testing, was John. So we'll see if we can get after him in this one, because I'm sure he'll be out front pretty early.
Yeah, and of course the first reverse grid race of the season didn't go so well for you. It was an absolute dream at Croft last time out as well. So which of the 2 scenarios are we expecting for the one coming up?
Well, I'd hope it was Croft, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows indeed. Trafford, thanks for chatting to us. Good luck for the next race, and we'll hopefully catch up with you soon.
No worries, cheers.
All right. Well, yeah, of course, Trafford King didn't have an awful lot to think about in that race, truth be told. In our eyes, we're pretty much focused on the battle for 3rd place with Harvey Pullinger and Dan Jude battling away right to the very end there. It was absolutely fantastic, and hopefully we see a bit more of that in the next race.
Absolutely so. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Again, with the reverse grid race, as a reminder, it's the top 10 that are reverse, not the entire grid. That would, I think it would be a slightly too much chaos to incorporate if we had all 30 odd cars reverse order. Now the grid is being formed, so we do have a few minutes before this particular race gets underway. This is actually a track I have driven on in its real life, guys. I've done a number of circuits in the sim racing world, but this is actually one I have turned wheels on, and it is as fast as it looks. It's a superb place. I've commentated up at the complex, so Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. That's where the second commentary box is. Slightly unusual track because both of the commentary positions are actually on the outside of the circuit, which is slightly unusual. We actually had an incident where one of the lead drivers in one race lost his driver's door, and none of us knew because we couldn't see that side of the car. So, but this is why I was so looking forward to this race in particular. Home familiarity for me, but I know this circuit is, again, so well recreated in the sim racing world, and because of these fantastic cars and the familiarity that a number of our drivers had, Travis King, of course, prime example. This is where this really intense racing comes from. But we're now going to have John Power, who's proven time and again, it doesn't seem to matter what racing machinery, real life or sim, whether it's sevens or the Hondas, it doesn't matter what John's in. He's just insanely fast. So I'm really looking forward to John and to Trafford in particular crossing swords.
Absolutely. Right, before we go to race number 2, we'll take a very quick break. Worth reminding ourselves what we're fighting for here tonight. That Moza Racing R5 bundle pedal and wheel combo worth £500 that we just saw a little glimpse of there is the top prize for the champion of this series, plus of course a ticket to the 750 Motor Club Awards night on February the 10th. Also up for grabs for second place is from AE Racing, a training session from a current GT3 driver and a rig mat from Upshift Store, and then third place coming from Track Racer, a seat mount kit and a £50 Tegiwa.com voucher. Of course, all our race winners get a Track Titan training subscription and a 750 Motor Club trophy. Podium finishers are getting 750 Motor Club merch as well. So an awful lot to be fighting for, not only for the championship, but also in the individual races. So coming up next, it is the top 10 reverse grid race. It's the second race of the night, another 15-minute encounter, but it will be John Power, as we saw there, in that silver car, lining up third on the grid. It's Peter Cornelius in the blue and grey car that is on the front row of the grid, and then I believe it's Alex. Go ahead. I think you've got it.
So we had Steve Bentley that was saying hello to us on the front row. That lovely slippery grip racing car, and then it is Peter Cornelius in second position. Then John Power in that storming grey car on the inside line of row 2, alongside Alex Forster. Then behind him is Finley Tidmarsh and Adam Parsonage, with Pullinger and Dan Jude on the next row, with Cunniff and Trafford King taking on row 5. So you can see Dan's car is so distinct, isn't it? That's those very, very clear Golf colours. You can see him on the outside line there, in position, ready to rumble. So we'll see how well our drivers can do. But here we are for race number 2.
Race number 2 in round 3 of the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder, is about to get underway. We have the lights on and the reverse grid race is now underway, and lots of tyre smoke from the front wheels as they desperately try to get away, but into Allard for the first time. We've got a lovely look here at Trafford King, who's already trying to make up ground. It looked like it wasn't the best of starts, but he's trying to get around the outside of Allard and into 8th place here, ahead of Colin Cunniff, who of course was finishing second in the previous race. and plenty of cars trying to take to the inside, but it is Steve Bentley who leads still, not by much, because John Power's already muscled his way through into second place and is going to have his sights set on the lead. It's Alex Forster who's settling into fifth place behind Finley Tidmarsh, back on board with Trafford King, who has just dispatched of Adam Parsonage and has now got Harvey Pullinger in front of him, trying to get around the outside there of Noble. No way through for the race one winner. And this car happening just in front of it, but we see Trafford King did manage to get that move done on the inside of Harvey Pullinger there. He's up into sixth place already. We're not even halfway around the first lap yet, and as they make their way through Church for the first time there, we can see still Steve Bentley in that red car leading John Power in the grey one, but I don't think it's going to be for much longer as they head down the Brooklyn Straight for the first time and they go towards Club. John Power is right in the wheel tracks of Steve Bentley for the lead of the race, and they now making that move for the lead. Bit of puff of smoke. John Power getting too deep into the chicane for the first time, gathers it up beautifully and ends up blocking Steve Bentley a little bit and making sure he doesn't get the run down the straight.
How on earth did he save that? That was a clenching moment, even for someone of his experience. Superb stuff. Well done, John Power. But now the field behind them starting to establish a bit of a pecking order. Bentley in second, Cornelius in third, and that was King having a look on the inside line of Tidmarsh coming down into Campbell. Couldn't quite get the move done. That's Bentley that's taking a bit of a wide line. Slightly further back, Dan Jude has fallen down to 11th position, and that's Heisman that he's just kind of rubbing doors with a little bit. So yeah, Dan didn't seem to have a good start and has compounded a little bit. That's dropped him outside of the top 10 with a very, very keen pack right behind him, ready to do battle as well. As Tidmarsh and Cornelius swap round for a third position. Unfortunately, one name we possibly won't be seeing towards the top end is Steve Boother. Sadly, he's had an incident on the opening lap. He's down towards the back as King has gained another. Traffic King ahead of Finley Tidmarsh up into fourth. He's going to have to work hard to get past Peter Cornelius, who in turn is falling off the back of the top two.
Oh, big moment here for Dan Jude out of Church. Another car collected in that as well. And so Dan Jude's race has gone from bad to worse as they're still trying to sort themselves out. And pirouetting there is the rather beautiful yellow and red car that Dan Jude has just gone past. So a bit of chaos at the back of the field. John Power has just done the fastest lap of the race in the lead. His advantage now almost a second over Steve Bentley, and Trafford King surely is going to be making his way onto the podium very shortly as well, having taken advantage of Tidmarsh and Cornelius' squabbling on that previous lap. As we've got a battle a little bit further down as Will Hartley trying to get around the outside of Belsey into the complex, and outside line turns into the inside, turns into a bit of door banging there, but Will Hartley does manage to get past and into 14th position.
Bit of a punch in the face there from Pete Belsey, but disrupted his momentum a little bit, but he gets to live on another day as we continue to see Will Hartley now having a look at his next prey, which is Heisman and Spooner, but he's got a little bit too wide, flirts with the grass, and look at the momentum that's cost him. That tiny mistake is exactly what I was alluding to at the top of the show. A small mistake is so costly. Adam Parsonage and Harvey Pullinger are arguing, oh my goodness me, that's a very, very wayward car. That's Keith Whitby that has gone off to explore the scenery.
Traffic King, meanwhile, has made his way up into third place. Make that second, because something's happened to Steve Bentley by the looks of it. He's plummeting down the order, and so we're only a third of the way through the race, and Traffic King has now made his way through from 10th to 2nd. The lead gap, 2.3 seconds, but John Power has just done another fastest lap of the race. This is the battle I think we were all hoping for. Traffic King, the man who has been undefeated since the opening exchange at Croft last time out, going to do battle with John Power, who sits fourth in the championship, a fellow race winner, of course. And Steve Bentley's day has also gone from bad to worse, as he's now was facing the wrong way for a little bit going into the complex. Here is a look at Traffic King. There we can see the gap that's starting to come down already. Steve Bentley still trying to find his way back to the racetrack, along with Will Hartley, I think that was by the looks of it. So Here we see the lead battle. It looks like an exchange for fourth place is happening as Colin Cunniff is coming under pressure from Alex Forster in that grey and orange car. He's looking up the inside of Church, and that's a very brave move indeed. But Alex Forster there, lovely manoeuvre to get himself up into fourth place. Finley Titmarsh in that blue car closing in on Cunniff as well. Remember, Cunniff was the driver who finished second in the first race, second in the championship as well, and not quite able to make the same forward progress as Stratford King as Finley Titmarsh gets very deep into the club chicane. And that was a monster run from Colin Cunniff. That was an absolutely monster run. How did he do that?
He may well be asking himself the same thing, but John Power's in trouble. He's lost 3 seconds on that lap alone, and as a consequence, he's lost the lead. So he's made a mistake somewhere. As he was good 2.3 seconds ahead of Trafford King, so it wasn't an impact or anything some such that has caused John Power to lose the lead. There they are, just going through the shot. He's now got Peter Cornelius all over his tail as we continue to see Alex Forster and Colin Cunniff. Their battle for what is now fourth position continues apace. And then right behind is that three-way fight we were just looking at. Finley Titmarsh, Harvey Pullinger, and Adam Parsonage is the third of that particular trio. Look at Titmarsh, he's under pressure from Harvey Pullinger as they are making their way through Goodwood, through Village, through Church. It's the fastest part of the circuit. I can say it's all pretty quick. Depending on how brave you are, is how much right foot you deploy. And you can just see how the cars have to just really come over onto the rumble strip on the right-hand side, or our right-hand side, I should say, to maximise their exit speeds and use every pixel of space available to them. And that's a lot of the time just to keep up. Oh, that's way too deep. Coming into the club chicane for, that was Titmarsh, I think it was.
Was that Alex Forster from fifth?
Forster, I beg your pardon, yes. So a huge mistake, and he's lost quite a few positions as a result.
Yeah, that's put him into the clutches of Finley Titmarsh and Harvey Pullinger that we're following here. So Titmarsh in the blue car, Pullinger in the white and yellow, and a bit of contact there by the looks of it. Pullinger I thought for a second he was going to gather it up with a bit of right foot down. But the car swapped the other way. Looked like Pullinger might have got into the back of Titmarsh there. Titmarsh rejoining the circuit now in 9th place, and may well lose a place to David Heisman here as he's a bit slow onto the quicker section of the racetrack at Noble and Goodwood. So a bit of a disappointment there, and we just saw he was trying to hang on to that place. This is a bit further down in 14th. Peter Belsey trying to get past Spooner on the inside of Goodwood, but no way through there for the grey and pink machine. I will say I don't think it's quite over for the last spot on the oh dear, what has happened to David Heisman there? What on? Did he it looked like he took quite a bit of the curb. Almost wonder if he hit the marshal post on the inside.
I don't think the marshal post is quite that close, but it was a bit of a difficult one because our camera angle was on the opposite side of the car, but he clearly hit something, and the only thing that's there is that marshal's post. So that was very much exit stage left.
Something rather firmer than the front of his car, that is for sure. Harvey Pullinger getting back up into 5th place in that yellow and grey car ahead of Alex Forster. And then we just caught a glimpse of the battle for 3rd place between Peter Cornelius and Colin Cunniff. There it was at the bottom of the screen, just there. Very nose to tail as they exited Seagrave. So the last spot on the podium is once again up for grabs. And it looked like they were going side by side into Noble Corner as well, with that 5.5 minutes left on the clock. So we're entering the final third of this race number 2. Pullinger still continuing to lead Forster and Parsonage here, and Cornelius and Cunniff swapping positions there on this lap for the last spot on the podium as Pullinger makes his way through Church. Once again, Alex Forster getting right up behind Pullinger as they head through Church, and Alex Forster may well try and get that 5th place spot back. As again, we just saw that glimpse of that battle for 3rd place, very tight indeed. Pullinger looks like he had quite a good advantage in the end going into the club chicane. as Trafford King ticks off another lap ahead of them. John Power's still got the pace though, because he's just done another fastest lap of the race, but that gap 2.6 seconds. He will be ruining that mistake he made earlier. This is that battle for third place though, as we joined it at just the right time, because Peter Cornelius had a monster save at Allard in that grey and blue machine, and Colin Cunniff says thank you very much, I'll take third place back.
Goodness me, it's like they're changing position at every heartbeat almost. The timing tower can barely keep up with who's ahead of who. But now Colin Cunniff has comparatively comfortably got that position. That's actually nearly broken away from Peter Cornelius by nearly a second. Well, it's just over a second now. As I can't even finish the sentence as that gap continues to grow. All because of that sort of bit of a moment there from Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. We're now looking at Alex Forster. That's been hustling the back of Harvey Bullinger. Now, Harvey's had to really adopt some very defensive lines, pretty much all of the previous lap, probably the one before as well, to keep the likes of Alex Forster and Adam Parsonage behind. That's compromised Harvey's exit speed every single time, but subsequently, it's slowed down Alex Forster and Adam Parsonage as well. And catching the back of them is Ben Goodwin. So this trio is going to become a quartet. There, you see it again. You see Harvey Pullinger going very, very early to that inside line and bouncing very hard over the apexes and curbs as a result. But Harvey Pullinger really having, or certainly feeling the need to defend hard from Alex Forster in particular.
Certainly is. Very tight battle here for 5th, 6th and 7th as we enter the final 3 minutes of this race. Of course, this race will decide the order for the last race of the night as well. No reverse grid being implemented for that one though. So wherever they finish here, that will settle the order for the next race. So as it stands, it'll be Traffic King from John Power. Maybe John Power will have another crack at trying to break Trafford King and Power going wheel to wheel on that one. That would be a sight to behold as this battle for 5th place continues to rage on. Harvey Pullinger just creating a little bit of a gap here to Alex Forster, with Adam Parsonage in that red and black car closing it. Ben Goodwin as well isn't far behind in the green machine as well, as we've got Francis Twyman trying to get around the outside of Steve Boother, and Boother goes for a spin through Noble.
That's Keith Whitby, I think.
Yes, it was. Sorry, Keith Whitby in the similar red car, but yeah, it was Whitby that was going round. But getting back up to speed now, though.
And, battles continue. Well, that's someone doing a bit of lawn mowing there. Couldn't quite see which of the cars it was. We cut back to Adam Parsonage on the back now. So Adam has made a mistake somewhere. He's now behind Ben Goodwin. And looks like these two are going to be locked in battle for the remaining 1 3/4 minutes. And 2 laps remain in this second race here at Thruxton. Once again, as we've enjoyed time and again from this championship, the races are just flying by. No shortage of action here as Adam Parsonage and Ben Goodwin are catching the back. That's a back marker that they're caught the back of now. Another one of the slip and grip livery cars. So quite nicely done there. That was slightly unfortunate. They caught the back market in the middle of the complex, but I'm trying to identify who that is that they've caught the tail end of. But they were slightly caught out because they couldn't kind of disappear. They couldn't vanish. But they did the right thing. If you're the car that's being lapped, you need to stay predictable. You don't necessarily need to jump off the road. It actually is what they've just done ahead of Dan Jude, that is the next guy down the road from this battle that we're enjoying. But you just need to remain predictable so the faster car can plan its move well in advance. Here is Vaughan Jones. This will be the very sunset flavoured car that we saw a few times having some grassy excursions. Still hanging on in there and is right behind Adam Zeba for 17th.
Yep, battles all the way up and down the order. 30 seconds left on the clock. So I'm sure Traffic King has started his final lap of the race at this point. There he is, out all on his own by 4.3 seconds now to John Power. So still that battle for 7th and 8th to be settled, but that is of no thought to whatsoever to Trafford King, who is just continuing to be absolutely excellent in this championship. Alex Forster slightly quieter end to this race than the previous one for him, as he's not really in striking distance of Harvey Pullinger for 5th place, and he's got a good advantage over Ben Goodwin and Adam Parsonage. So this looks like Jamie Peters-Ennis and Peter Belsey could swap positions here as they're rounding at the back marker. And we saw the other cars trying to come through a little bit earlier, but in the meanwhile, here is Trafford King, and it is going to be a 5th consecutive victory for Trafford King in the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder, and it's another top 10 reverse grid win to his name. John Power in 2nd place. He will be ruining that mistake from the lead of the race that allowed Trafford King an easy end to this race. He'll try and make up for it in the next one. Colin Cunniff makes it 2 podiums for the night. Peter Cornelius in 4th, Harvey Pullinger 5th, Alex Forster in 6th, Ben Goodwin in 7th, ahead of Adam Parsonage. Dan Jude, a very difficult race for him, but he comes home in 9th, and Finley Tidmarsh completes the top 10.
Jamie Peters-Ennis, one of our reserve runners for this series, has come home in 11th, fighting off the advances of Pete Belsey for 12th. Next up is going to be Steve Boother. Then it is Andrew Cooper. Then a frantic flurry of cars, all fighting for real estate coming over the line. We look slightly further back. Daniel Marshall on the back of Paul Jarvis. They're just making their way through club for the final time in this race. Yeah, some people's really struggling with it. Look at Steve Bentley down there in 25th position, considering what we've already seen from him tonight. Race number 2 most certainly did not go his way.
Yes, absolutely. So it's Trafford King once again victorious after another absolutely dominant display. But what about John Power, though, Chris? I mean, what a mistake to have made. We didn't see it, unfortunately, but those 3 seconds that he lost in that one particular race lap just cost him everything.
Yeah, 3 seconds to the good, and then Trafford King did Trafford King things, just got into the lead and slowly extended it away, giving John Power no room to breathe or no room to counterattack. I mean, the only person that can stop Trafford King right now is Trafford King, it would seem. But yeah, even the greats can make mistakes. We've just seen it, seen it for ourselves. John Power, the amount of years of racing experience he has, both virtual and actually in the real world, even he made a simple mistake. And we've seen numerous drivers just make is just a tiny, just push slightly too hard, wander slightly too wide, and the results speak for themselves. So what the actual mistake was, we didn't see it, but either way, I have every imagining that John Power will be chomping at the bit to take that top spot on the podium on the 3rd race of the night.
Oh, I'm sure he absolutely will, and very much looking forward to seeing them go toe-to-toe in the final race of the night. They, of course, will lock out the front row of the grid. And for Trafford King, it's another 20 points, or even 21 points, actually, considering that he got the fastest lap as well. But joining us in the commentary box now is John Power. John, first of all, can I just... When you started 29th in that first race, did you think you'd be battling for a win?
Oh, God, no.
So how, first of all, tell us about that first race, because it was mega going up to 8th place. How did you pick them off?
Just by varying lines, really, and the old-fashioned thing, slow in, fast out. Because a circuit like this, the Seto course in particular, is very sensitive to tyre scrub. So I think that helps from the very back. Then after that, it got harder because it's very quick laps, of course.
Yeah, of course, it always gets harder when you get up to the front. So I guess you're trying to be very precise and very smooth at the wheel on a track like this.
Yeah, except for the train, because it's like jumping into shark-infested waters every lap.
Brilliant. So we didn't see the mistake that you made from the lead in that second race, unfortunately. Can you just give us a bit of insight into what happened and what let Trafford past?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm glad no one saw it. It was very embarrassing. I just clipped the tyre at the chicane and it sent me into the wall, but luckily I was facing the right way when it came out. So, yeah, but to be honest, Trafford drives so well. I think I would have lost time trying to hold him back anyway. The guy's amazing.
Well, you do have the pace. It has to be said, because you had briefly the fastest lap of the race in race number 1. You were setting really good pace of matching Trafford for much of that race number 2 as well. So now you're lining up on the front row together for race number 3. Do you think you might just be able to give him a hard time, maybe get ahead of him?
I can wish, but I think it's more. I think it's just a nice wish to have. But let's see what happens.
All right, fair enough. Chris, any questions for John?
With your vast experience, John, how close is the sim racing version of Thruxton to the real thing?
Well, Thruxton was my last ever Formula Ford race because I stuck it in the bank. So yeah, it's quite realistic. I'd say it's very realistic actually. Apart from the chicane's a bit shorter, more compact, I think.
Well, hopefully you won't recreate your motorsport exit on this occasion either.
I hope not too. Okay.
All right, thanks for chatting to us, John. You see the server is open for the last race of the night, so we wish you luck and cheers for chatting to us. So we'll get underway for race number 3 very shortly. A reminder, it's not a reverse grid, it's just set by the results of race number 2. So it will be Trafford King on pole position from John Power and Colin Cunniff after he took his second podium result of the night, second and a third for him so far today. That will serve him well in the championship, but of course Trafford King's just extending that advantage up at the front of the field in the championship. And of course the 750 Motor Club, the members sub championship as well. Top 3 was the same drivers in the overall and the members championship as well. So they're the ones fighting for the prize packages that we have for the top 3 positions at the moment. So Chris, before we go to the grid, what are we expecting to see from this final race of the night? Do you think John's got it in him to give Trafford a hard time?
I think early on he does. I think he's being a little bit conservative as an estimate there. If he can get a good start, or if whatever reason Trafford gets a bit of a difficult start, then that is going to make the young Mr. King have to work hard at it. He's got the ultimate pace, no doubt about it. I think John's got a bit more in him than he's letting on. I think John can make Trafford work for it.
Well, absolutely. I'm certainly looking forward to the third and final race of the night. Round 3 of the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship powered by Grid Finder concludes in just a few moments' time.
It's the home of sim racing leagues. Our management tools allow you to recruit drivers and monitor their ratings and live splits. Find this and more at gridfinder.com. Sign up for free today.
Third and final race of the night about to get underway. We've got a couple of minutes left until the green light. So I'll just remind everybody watching that if you are planning to race with the 750 Motor Club in 2024, then a reminder here of the early bird registration offer, which opens on Monday, the 22nd of January and will close on Monday, the 5th of February. You can bag yourself a little discount on the entry fees and bag yourself a little bit of merch and even some tyre discounts as well. Details on the 750 Motor Club website for all of that, and of course the live streaming details with Alpha Live and the new social media paddock show being announced as well. All the details also on the 750 Motor Club website. Go and check out if any of your races are being live streamed in 2024. And of course we do have some new additions to it, of course, the return to Thruxton as well, which we're very much celebrating tonight, with Thruxton being the track of choice for the Type R Trophy in round 3 of the series. We've got one more race to go, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Trafford King and John Power handle this one, lining up on the front row of the grid. So far, Trafford King has been absolutely unstoppable. Pole in all 3 rounds of the season so far. 5 victories to his name, or 6 victories in fact, including the one at Silverstone, 5 consecutively. John Power is one of only 2 drivers to have ever bested Trafford King in a race for the win so far this season, so he may well have his hands full as we wait for the lights to go out. And we've got the start light sequence starting now. Third and final race in round 3 of the 750 Motor Club Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder, coming from Thruxton. It's the Type R Trophy. We're about to get underway. Engine revs rise, lights go up, big puffs of smoke from the front wheels. Very nice start made by Trafford King from pole position, and John Power going to try and get alongside him as well. We've got Jamie Peters-Ennis on board through Allard for the first time. He's got a white car in front of him that is blocking his view. In fact, I think that is the Dan Jude car, in fact, as we've got Harvey pulling it up on the inside at the complex, keeping it very neat and tidy, but Jamie Peters-Ennis having to take some avoiding action as Trafford King exits in the lead, and losing out to Alex Forster there, and that's a swap for 5th and 6th place. We see they're already falling behind the top 3 by some 1.4 seconds. John Power and Colin Cunniff trying to go with Trafford King up at the front of the field. Somebody's arrived absolutely sideways into Noble Corner for the first time. A few cars turning into lawnmowers, and not an ideal start for them.
That was Finney Tidmarsh that was being rather unceremoniously shoved sideways through corners. Oh my goodness me! Into the back. That's Boother, I think, that has hit the wall and exit stage. Oh my goodness me! I think that's Peter Cornelius that has had a very dramatic re-entry. It was indeed. As we see Harvey Pullinger making a move on Alex Forster. Can he do it? No, he's backed out of it, and quite wisely so. Coming through the club chicane for the first time in anger. And once again, Trafford King doing Trafford King things. That's a very slow Max Spooner heading towards the club chicane. Ooh, right ahead of him, Finney Tidmarsh trying to make up for lost time as well. Goodness me, once again we have lots and lots of battles going on, which we love to see. John Powell with Colin Cunniff in short order. Harvey Pullinger has taken a slightly unusual line coming into Campbell. That's caused a bit of a bump between Dan Jude and Alex Forster, but still going. And now Ben Goodwin joins that particular squabble. Side by side by side by side. This is what we love to see.
As resumption of the action from race number 1, as Dan Jude in that Golf car tries to get around the outside of Harvey Pullinger here for 4th place. They bang doors. Pullinger may well come off worse, but he just about manages to gather up the car and miraculously hangs on to the place. But Jude's got himself the inside line for Goodwood and for Village. He ends up banging doors himself with Alex Forster in the grey and orange car, and they just about settle themselves into a straight line before they turn into Church. It's Alex Forster who's made up the advantage there into 5th place, and now looking at the back of Harvey Pullinger, who just, I think, maybe dipped a millimetre of tyre onto the grass and had to gather it up. And all of them looking towards the inside, and Dan Jude thought about trying to repeat his move from race number 1, but contact again with Pullinger, again gathering up the car nicely. Forster into 4th, Pullinger holding on to 5th, Dan Jude 6th, Ben Goodwin in 7th.
Dan Jude had actually hit the back of Pullinger through the middle of club. That's cost him valuable momentum. We got side by side again through Allard. Dan Jude to the outside line, fends off Peter Goodwin, and now Jamie Peters-Ennis is in that particular battle. So as he did in Croft, the first race didn't quite go his way, but he's had again a fairly good night leading up to this point. Now well inside the top 10, and it could well benefit well from a strong finish. We didn't see him at Silverstone in the Toyota MR2, so that kind of put him in a points deficit to the rest of the field. He is a reserve, I believe, for this championship, so you could argue he wasn't in the main championship fight, as that's very wide there from Pullinger, trying to fend off Dan Jude. More battles going on. Oh my goodness me, there's Alex Zeba that's had a bit of a punch in the face there from Keith Whitby. Both cars managing to survive. Right behind them is Bentley, but back up to this battle with Pullinger, Jude, Forster and Goodwin.
Dan Jude trying to make a move, flirting with the grass once again, pulling her on his inside line. And here comes Ben Goodwin. Is he going to try and nail the pair of them outside line, going down through Brooklyn's down towards Club? Who's bravest on the brakes? Goodwin's got both of them. Can he hold the position? Dan Jude, he's been good in this position. But he's got him back again. Oh, no!
Oh, no, he's clipped the wall!
Oh, no! I mean, you do have to use every pixel of space, but sooner or later, well, someone's going to push their luck too far. And generally, that bollard is always going to win that fight.
Oh, Dan Jude for a moment wasn't about to let Ben Goodwin do his move into the chicane. So Forster's come out on top in fourth place of that. Goodwin now fifth, pulling her in sixth. Peters Ennis seventh, and Dan Jude down to eighth. And I dare say will be slipping slightly further back with damage to his car. We see there we can see the damage quite clearly. Alex Zebra on his tail, and then this battle for 10th with Steve Bentley and Keith Whitby and Peter Jarvis and Pete Belsey as well, and well, just pretty much everyone else in 10th place actually, because there's just no separating these cars at the moment, as Pullinger and Goodwin have swapped places once again. Here is that battle for 5th place. We see Alex Forster hasn't actually made up much ground, but these guys are 10 seconds behind the podium runners at the moment. Such has been the intensity of their fight, as we see Goodwin get back through on Pullinger for 5th place, and that is bringing Jamie Peters-Ennis into the running in that white car as well. Goodwin defends to the inside as Pullinger pulls to the outside for the competition, and now it's Peters-Ennis trying to make the double move into Club. But Goodwin trying to stand his ground there in that green and grey car. He does just about manage to do so and hangs on to 5th place, but Jamie Peters-Ennis is up to 6th position.
Well driven from all of them to avoid incident there with so little room, going from 3 wide to 2 wide and losing valuable real estate in the process. All of them managing to avoid impact as we now enjoy this battle here for what is 12th position, with Paul Jarvis leading Pete Belsey, William Hartley, Dave Heisman, and also Andrew Cooper in that particular fight. Here we are again for the battle for 4th. Forster's run a little bit too wide, exiting Seagrave. Are we going to see 4 wide on the rundown? Oh, nearly impact there. That's Goodwin and Pullinger nearly coming to grief. But Jamie Peters-Ennis is actually up into 4th. He's worked his way past this entire group. And, oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, and then a sideways moment as well. I can't even form the sentences quick enough, let alone say them, with the amount of action that we're going. And this was why I was looking forward to this round so much. That's a broken statement, because every round we've had here at the 750 Winter Championship has been phenomenal. But again, Thruxton, Type R's, yes, I knew this one wouldn't disappoint.
Goodwin's been bullied out a little bit there, down to 8th place, and Pullinger trying to get 4th place away from Jamie Peters-Ennis. Dan Jude is back in the fight as well, hopping and skipping over the grass and the curbs. And I know that Assetto Corsa is a bit more liberal with the track limits at this circuit, but I think even by AC standards, Dan Jude was pushing it a little bit there.
That's exploratory.
Yes.
That may well come to the eye of the stewards, but that's a matter for off camera, shall we say. We've got plenty to talk about on this particular occasion. Peters-Ennis has built over a second to what is now Dan Jude. How is Dan Jude still racing that car with its somewhat redesigned front end? It's absolutely phenomenal, but Harvey Pullinger is really making him work for it. Nailed to the tyre tracks of the golf-coloured car as they work their way through. Noble very sideways, whatever grip they can find. And you just had that slight change down there for Pullinger, just using every bit of grip that's available in the tyres. They will be screaming at this point through Goodwood, through the gentle right-hander that is Village. Then it sharpens for Church as Jamie Peters-Ennis now 1.5 seconds to the good to this chasing pack. Oh, Goodwin, he said he was bullied out earlier, may well lose out again as Zebra has got the run on the inside line. They take the long sweeping left that is Brooklyn's. Now who's going to be bravest on the brakes for Club?
Well, for the moment it's Pullinger and Jude again, not taking the conventional line through the chicane. I think he realised that I'm not making that, and he has allowed Harvey Pullinger back up in position. Oh no! And then he's come to grief with Alex Forster. Well, so that's giving Pullinger a little bit of reprieve there, but they're still side by side behind him, trying to dispute that 6th place spot. Forster's gone back through, and Dan Jude with an aggressive switch back to the inside, can't quite make it work. But look behind him, he's brought Steve Bentley, Ben Goodwin, Alex Eber, Keith Whitby right into this fight, as well as they're still banging doors. And off goes Alex Forster on the exit of Seagrave Corner, and now he's going to be at the mercy of all the cars that have closed in behind them as well. This squabble is now 17 seconds behind the podium runners because they just haven't stopped for one moment in this race, and we're already into the final third of this battle. Ben Goodwin here in 8th place in green and grey is got a bit of distance to Steve Bentley in front of him, but now Alex Forster there we just saw in 10th place trying to get past Alex Zeba. In fact, he's dispatched of Whitby, now going for Zeba on the inside. That was at Church, so he's been able to recover a little bit of ground from that moment at Seagrave. He'll now set his sights on Ben Goodwin, who we're now following. And Steve Bentley just in front of him, trying to get around Dan Jude in the golf car, but he couldn't quite make that work either.
The damage is really playing havoc for Dan Jude, because we've seen some somewhat over-aggressive moves from him, but he's still hanging on to 6th position at the moment. Steve Bentley, who's had, I think he had a rough start to this race, but he's worked his way right the way up inside the top 10. Now, finally, people are kind of deciding on which bit of real estate they themselves are going to occupy, but I can't imagine it's going to stay that way for long, as they're seeing a fair amount of locking up. They're coming into Campbell through the complex. It looks like Steve Bentley that is starting to home in again on Dan Jude. The handling of the golf car probably somewhat compromised by the fact that the front bumper is determined to just drag itself along the floor. But can Steve Bentley do anything about it? But Dan Jude, fair play. He's been doing everything he can, and several things he shouldn't have done, to hang on to that 6th position. But look further down the road, Harvey Pullinger is closing in on Jamie Peters-Ennis. Is Harvey going to deny Jamie Peters-Ennis' potential best finish of the season?
Could well do, as we go back to Harvey Pullinger, who's closed down the gap to Jamie Peters-Ennis here for 4th position with 3.5 minutes left on the clock. And it looks like Jamie Peters-Ennis went off the track, and that's why Pullinger's been able to close down the gap, and he's not had a brilliant run through the club chicane as well. Very aggressive chop to the inside to try and defend Allard, and Pullinger needed no second invitation to try and get round Peters-Ennis here, so he'll look towards the complex as well, side by side, round the left-hander towards Campbell once again. Pullinger will have the inside line, but Peters-Ennis very good on the brakes, and this squabble has already invited Steve Bentley and Dan Jude and Ben Goodwin back into the fray as well. So for the remaining 3 minutes of the race, it is game on for 4th position. Peters-Ennis trying to make that Type R Civic EP3 as wide as he possibly can, but having to leave space on the inside of Noble there for Pullinger, who once again has to back out as they head through the right-hander at Goodwood. And now that there's still some good momentum there, he's just been able to draw his front wheels alongside Peters-Ennis' rear wheels, has to back out again. Steve Bentley waiting in the wings in that red car as well towards Church once again. Maybe just picking his moment here is Harvey Pullinger, because he will have a monster run down Brooklands and towards the club chicane once again, already pulling out of the slipstream and trying to find himself that inside line. Peters-Ennis isn't leaving him much space, but he just about leaves him enough, and Steve Bentley's going to make it 3 wide under braking for the club chicane. Pullinger on the inside. Peters-Ennis has gone way too deep and lost all those positions in one as he bounces over the grass. And through is going to go Pullinger, I'm sure of it. And through is going to go Steve Bentley and Dan Jude as well. Oh, well, Dan Jude's actually been able to make up 2 places there, because he got past Steve Bentley, and then Peters-Ennis ends up banging doors with Stephen Bentley. And through goes Goodwin as well. Ben Goodwin into 7th place.
Goodness me, I did say that those gaps wouldn't stay there for long, and Jamie Peters-Ennis lost out a couple of positions there, just out-braking himself, trying to break that a little bit later than everybody else around him, but you saw how far off track that sent him, and he would have only braked probably half a car later, but the amount of momentum he carried into the club chicane just sent him way, way too deep, and he had to then, I get the feeling he would have potentially lost the position to Harvey Pullinger anyway, because he did have the overall pace over Jamie Peters-Ennis. But either way, that dispute is resolved for now. You've always got to add that particular accolade to anything you describe to these incredible races that we've enjoyed throughout this championship, and certainly here in Thruxton, as Ben Goodwin continues to fend off the advances of Bentley, and that's Jamie Peters-Ennis who's gone too deep, as well as Alex Forster has gone too deep, going through Goodwin. Won't cost them too much, but again, momentum is so crucial. That mistake will certainly be felt. Side by side, Bentley and Goodwin coming down into the braking zone for Club Chicane. Ooh, they're going to be able to sort it out just about. Final lap, it's do or die, all or nothing, feast or famine for this group.
And we've got back markers coming into play as well now. So final lap of the race, Traffic King, John Power and Colin Cunniff well clear of all this happening behind them.
Oh, no.
Off goes the back marker, and Stephen Bentley's gone with him, and that was out of 8th position, so disaster for Stephen Bentley, and now he's being collected by the chasing pack as well, so not an ideal end to his encounter. And you see how much crabbing he's got there, completely right hand down, trying to make it through a left-hander. So that's not ideal at all. Dan Jude still not finished with Harvey Pullinger. The golf colour car in 5th place, but Pullinger in front of him. That moment's created a bit of distance between himself and Peters-Ennis and Goodwin and Forster behind them. So they can squabble amongst themselves. It's given him a little bit more breathing space. Meanwhile, Traffic King is going to make it 2 perfect weekends in a row with victory in race number 3. There is no stopping this kid at the moment. John Power, 3.5 seconds back. In 2nd place in the end. Colin Cunniff will come home in 3rd, and then a long way back, some 25 seconds in the end, is this battle for 4th place. Harvey Pullinger is just about, by the looks of it, going to hang on to this position ahead of Dan Jude, despite his best efforts. Clobbers the tyre barrier again, does Dan Jude, but he'll come home in 5th place. Ben Goodwin in that green and grey car looks like he's just going to beat Jamie Peters-Ennis to the line. Yes, he is, for 7th place. For 6th place, I should say. Jamie Peters-Ennis in 7th, Alex Forster in 8th, Will Hartley in 9th, and Alex Heber in 10th place. Oh, Chris, I need to lie down.
It's been one of those nights, hasn't it? And we love them all. As a Philly Tidmarsh, oh my goodness me, there's not a lot left of that car as he struggles through Club for the final time of asking, with bringing with Adam Cooper and Vaughan Jones to round out that's down to 17. We've still got side-by-sides going on. Francis Twyman getting all kinds of crossed up, getting his way getting past Davies. That's rounds out our 20. Just a few cars still running. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel, Chris. That was just one of those nights that was full of action everywhere.
Woo! We need a little break after that one, because that was intense. That battle for 4th place. You saw how much time they were losing, because they were 25 seconds behind the podium runners in the end.
I don't think we've seen a gap that big between 2 on-track positions all championship long in the various cars that we've had. But yeah, the top 3, we did. Well, I certainly thought John Power may make Traffic King work for it, but you can't take it away from Traffic King. What a stormy performance. Has he saved the best till last? Well, we'll see. We still have 2 more races after tonight to thoroughly look forward to. But this is the man that's had the least amount of TV coverage all night long. And any wonder. As much as his livery looked amazing, he just disappeared into the sunset again.
Yeah, terrible for his sponsors, because they've barely seen him on air at the moment.
But again, just testament to just how good he is. You can argue that the real life racing prowess that he's shown will help him in the sim racing world. It's not that straightforward. You don't just jump from one to the other expecting to be good. There's differences between. It's same way there would be between, for instance, Trafford's Honda Type R to John Power's Type R. The same car, same engine, same everything, but they're not going to be absolutely identical. You can't automatically guarantee jumping in from one to the other or guarantee that you'll do well, but Trafford has just blown the field away yet again.
And speaking of, he's joining us in the commentary box now. Trafford, 2 perfect weekends in a row. You with us, Trafford? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go. Yeah, just saying, 2 perfect weekends in a row. I mean, running out of superlatives for you.
Yeah, he must be bored of talking to me now.
Never.
No, as it's been good. Pace was quick in that last race. Colin and John just both kept me on it. I had to just keep going because I knew if any tiny little mistake, they were going to be there.
Absolutely. I mean, was it a slightly different dynamic in that race with both John and Colin kind of not necessarily pressuring you in terms of filling your mirrors, but they were within striking distance if, as you say, you make a mistake?
Yeah, you could, like say, I could always see him. And same with what happened to John in race 2. It was so easy done. So it was one of them. It was really easy to end up in that situation, but we got through it.
No, fair enough. And I feel like you're the person to ask this because, of course, this is the EP3 generation of car, the same one used in real life and MRF tyres as well. So how much did it feel like driving your actual Type R trophy car?
Yeah, the actual car on the set was really good. You get all the sensation of the horrible understeer on a fast corner. They seem to sort of let the back go as well. But yeah, it's a really good car in a Seto, is the Civic.
Oh, fantastic. And of course, you've been sporting your real world livery as well. We're seeing it on stream now. In fact, we were just saying, we kind of feel bad for your sponsors because you've had very little airtime in this whole series.
Yeah, well, I thought it'd be good to get the proper livery on for this one.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I'll be there.
Yeah, it looks fantastic as well. So, of course, we've still got 2 more rounds to come. We've got bike sports at Alton Park and F1000 at Donington. How are you feeling going into the last 2 rounds of the season?
See how we get on with these ones. They're going to be a lot quicker. So I think the reverse grids will be rather interesting, so to say. With the quicker cars.
Okay.
Well, any of them, to be fair.
Well, okay, before I let you go, Chris, anything to add?
Did you feel a bit more pressure on your shoulders, Trafford, being that this is the closest to your own real-life machinery that we've seen so far this season? Did you feel a bit more pressure on your shoulders to perform well tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All my family and friends had been giving me some right stick if it didn't go well, so...
I've got to say, your livery has been so well recreated. It is a stunning car. Not a hint of jealousy at all. Not one.
Not at all.
Brilliant. Well, Trafford, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on another perfect weekend. Happy New Year to you as well. We'll see you on January the 7th.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Cheers.
Cheers, Trafford. Wow, what a night it has been. I'm hoping we might be able to hear from Dan Jude. Just waiting to have confirmation if he's got a mic set up or not. So I'll fluff for a second just to see if they pop him in here for a moment. In fact, we were talking about the final 2 rounds of the season. Of course, this is the last 750 Motor Club stream of 2023. So we'll see you in 2024, of course, and it will be January the 7th, the Sunday of that weekend, not the Saturday as has been the norm for the first 3 rounds of the season. That will be the bike sports at Alton Park. That is going to be a wonderful combination, I would say. And then rounding out the season on January the 20th will be the F1000s from Donington Park. And that is the one I think everyone's most excited about. And who knows, Trafford may well be champion by the time we get to that round. But anything is possible in not just in motorsport, but especially in sim racing as well. I'm being told Dan doesn't have a mic actually, so we won't be able to hear from him, unfortunately. So, Chris, I'll come to you for some final thoughts from round 3 of the championship.
This did not disappoint. None of the rounds we've seen so far have disappointed at all. There was some of the drivers weren't so keen on the opening round of the MR2s at Silverstone, but oh wow, have we made up for it with the Master 7s last time and these incredible Hondas this time around. The bike sports, very high revving, very high torque engines in these sort of small Le Mans bodies. They're a wonderful machine to see. And as we've heard, they develop some speed. Oldham Park, very, very twisty technical circuit. So you don't have the long straight or long stretches where you get all the horses galloping, as we've seen tonight at Thruxton. So yet again, different type of circuit, different type of car. And we could well see some different type of results.
Absolutely. Now we've got all of that to look forward to in a few days' time. In the meanwhile, from all of us at the 750 Motor Club, a very happy new year. All the best for 2024. Remember to check out the 750 Motor Club website for the early bird registration discount and to see which rounds are being live streamed. And if the new social media paddock show is coming to you as well. But for now, it's bye-bye.